Hi, I'm Rok and I'm a tour guide, and I'm gonna show you top tourist attractions in Salzburg. Salzburg, Austria is one of the most beautiful Baroque towns in the world. It's a birthplace of Mozart and a filming location of a movie awarded with 5 Oscars, The Sound of Music. Please smash the like button to help this video before we get to see Salzburg top 10 attractions. This hill is a good starting point for exploring Salzburg as it offers amazing views over the city's skyline. There are several trails to get here. Most popular ones are long and steep staircase or longer and easier path that passes stations of the Cross and small Mozart monument. This hill is a popular recreational area with hiking trails and historical monuments. The most important monument is a monastery that gave name to the hill and is protected by 400 years old defensive walls. Prince Archbishops were rulers of Salzburg for 1100 years. They were extremely rich and powerful, and they've built many extravagant buildings. One of them is this 17th century palace on the outskirts of Salzburg. It was designed as an oasis of pleasure and distraction, and it's famous for its gardens that were also used in the movie The Sound of Music. The name of the palace means clear spring, which became a central design feature of the palace grounds. This palace became famous for its trick fountains. Prince Archbishops used trick fountains to make a series of practical jokes on their guests. These practical jokes became known as the water games. Around the property are many hidden fountains, water-automated mechanical theater, caves and other water-operated tricks. For example, when Prince Archbishop hosted a dinner, he could spray his guests with water jets hidden in the stone seats around the dining table. At all of these games, there is always a spot that never gets wet and was reserved for Prince Archbishop. Just look at this house, it's tiny. This is the smallest house in Salzburg and it stands on the square that was used as a market in the Middle Ages, hence the name the Old Market. The square is surrounded by an impressive row of Baroque townhouses. In one of them, you can find the oldest coffee house in Austria, more than 300 years old Café Tomaselli. On the other side of the square is another famous cafe where they also make chocolates. That is Confectioner Fürst, where famous and still incredibly popular Salzburg chocolate Mozartkugel was invented. This is the square where you definitely deserve to treat yourself with a nice coffee break. This is one of the largest squares in Salzburg, and its centerpiece is an amazing marble horse fountain from the 1600s that is considered to be the largest and the finest Baroque fountain on this side of the Alps. The square is lined with Salzburg Cathedral, the old residence and the new residence, both the former palaces of the Prince Archbishops, the rulers of Salzburg. The old residence was one of Salzburg's most important buildings. This huge Baroque palace complex has 180 lavishly decorated rooms and 3 spacious courtyards. This was the official residence of Prince Archbishops until Salzburg was secularized and became part of Austria. Today's appearance is from 16th and 17th century when the building went through major renovations. The residence continues to be used for state receptions and other important gatherings and concerts. You can also visit it because it's also a museum. The construction of the new residence started in 1588 and it took over 100 years. The building has a bell tower famous for its glockenspiel, 35 different bells that currently play approximately 40 different melodies. The music is changing every month and the bells played at 7 a.m., 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. For 1100 years, Salzburg was a church-state ruled by prince archbishops, and as a result, it is called the City of Churches. But this cathedral is the most important sacred building and a landmark of Salzburg. It has a mighty dome and 79 meters or 260 feet tall twin bell towers with 7 bells. The first cathedral was built already in the 8th century. This cathedral has been hit by 10 fires and it has been entirely rebuilt for 3 times. Today's Baroque appearance is from the last major rebuild that happened in the 17th century. You can enter the church through one of the 3 gates showing 3 divine virtues. Above each gate is written a different year, marking 3 times when this cathedral was rebuilt and consecrated. During the Second World War, the dome was destroyed by an airplane bomb, so the last consecration happened in 1959 after the renovation. There is also the baptismal font from 1300s, where among many others, baby Mozart was baptized. Later on, Mozart also performed some of his most popular works in this cathedral. On this narrow pedestrian street, you can do most exclusive shopping in Salzburg. This street is surrounded by high and narrow townhouses tightly nestled together. Houses have beautiful doorways and windows that become steadily smaller from the first floor up. They are often decorated with important dates, names of former owners, or with the eye of God. If you look up, you will notice that above every shop hangs an ornamental handmade iron gilt sign. Even the most famous international brands had to adapt and make its own old-school sign. All iron gilt signs were made by traditional metalworking shop from this street, where they are still manufacturing them by hand. Although this street looks like a tourist trap, it's a genuine residential neighborhood where people are still living in the upper floors. This is the oldest monastery in the German-speaking world and the spiritual heart of Salzburg. It was founded already in the 7th century. This monastery complex sits under the sheer rock face of the mountain Mönchsberg. This is a huge complex that includes the Abbey, the church and the cemetery. Here are also ancient catacombs carved into the mountain. Here is also the oldest restaurant from year 803 and Austria's oldest library with manuscripts from as early as year 734. Today's building, like many others in Salzburg, dates to 17th and 18th century when the city was reconstructed in Baroque style. The church is decorated in the Rococo style with beautiful ornaments, vivid decorations and amazing frescoes. This church was, and still sometimes is, used as a concert hall. In one of the concerts in this church, Mozart premiered his Great Mass in C minor. This is one of the world's most beautiful and oldest cemeteries. It is dramatically set into the cliffs where catacombs from the 12th century are carved into the rock. The cemetery and the catacombs were a famous filming location in the movie The Sound of Music. The present form of the cemetery dates to 1600s. The cemetery was used by some of the most noble families in Salzburg, and there are numerous vaults locked behind the iron gates. The cemetery is still in use, and many of the graves are well tended. This romantic palace and its beautiful gardens are a testament of love. In 1606, the most powerful man in the city, Prince Archbishop, built this palace for his mistress, who gave him 15 children. Prince Archbishop named the palace Altenau after his beloved mistress Salome Alt. After his death, the palace was renamed and consists of two Italian words meaning wonderful and beautiful. Today's appearance is from 1800s, when the palace was restored after a fire. It houses municipal offices and mayor's office. It has a famous angel staircase leading to the marble hall that is regarded as one of the most beautiful wedding halls in the world. The palace is surrounded by one of the most beautiful Baroque gardens in Europe. These are geometrically arranged gardens with statues from early 1700s that carry mythological theme. Gardens are aligned with Salzburg Castle and Cathedral to provide a very dramatic backdrop. Film enthusiasts will recognize these gardens from the movie The Sound of Music. This is the statue of the most famous artist of classical music, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And this square is named after him. You can get to know Mozart on different tours, in museums, and on his concerts and events. You can also buy round Mozart chocolate ball that was invented here at the end of 1800s and has become so popular that today it is made by 13 different producers. On the most famous and exclusive shopping street in Salzburg stands a house with number 9 on it. This is the house where Mozart was born on January 27, 1756. His family lived in an apartment on the 3rd floor for 26 years. Today, this is one of the most visited museums in Austria. There is a 3-story exhibition where you can learn more about Mozart's life. In 1773, Mozart's family moved to this house known as the Mozart residence on the other side of the river. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart lived here for 8 years until he moved to Vienna. This house is another Mozart's museum. This is the unmistakable landmark of Salzburg. This mighty fortress was built more than 900 years ago. It's sitting on the top of the hill and it looks very formidable. In fact, this fortress was never captured by foreign troops. It was used for military purposes, but in 1500s, when it got today's shape, quarters from Prince Archbishops, the rulers of Salzburg, were added. But they never lived up here. They were far more comfortable in their grand palace in the city center, but the impressive chambers in the fortress have remained unchanged and they still have the original furnishing. Today, the fortress is the most popular attraction in Salzburg. To see it, you don't have to walk up here, as you can take a ride with a funicular. These were only 10 tourist attractions, but Salzburg is filled with amazing architecture, great art, rich history and tons of interesting museums. If you like extreme sports, you should definitely visit Red Bull's hangar number 7 at Salzburg Airport. You can also visit nearby salt mines and learn how they brought wealth to the city. When you consider everything you can see and do around here, it is no wonder that Salzburg is among the most popular tourist destinations in Austria. To have the best experience in Salzburg, check out my Salzburg travel tips in the top corner. If you like this video, give it thumbs up. If you have any questions, ideas, suggestions, or even your own experience about Salzburg, please share it in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. This way you'll be notified every time I post a new travel video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.